Hello, everybody. Big win for City in the Premier League. Massive, in fact, as we beat Crystal Palace 3-0. Welcome to the Post-Mortem, the series where we have a cheeky little post-match conversation about what we felt we saw in the match, and we try to dissect it in a little bit of detail, or as much detail as we can anyway. What were the positives? What were some negatives? How did we set up? How did the opponent set up? What were the problems they created? What were the problems we created? And so on and so forth. You guys know how these streams work by now. Make sure you're leaving a like on the video as you are coming in. It's free and it helps support the channel. If you want to go the extra mile, then hey, why not consider becoming a member of the channel? The link has been provided by the Knobbot right there. How are we all doing? First of all, hopefully very happy. We'll also do the Fanalysis player ratings when we get later into the video. Lineups, first of all. Let's chat about lineups, and then we can just chat about... that's how I normally tend to structure these, isn't it? I like to talk about the lineups first of all, then we have a chat about sort of like the structure of both sides, and then we have a more of a back and forth about the individual nature they're in, and then the individual situation with the actual player performances as well. So, lineup was largely unchanged. No Doku. We know that he was injured. So this is going to be a big test. A big test for City. Big testes for City, yeah? Big bollocks. I'm just going to... As I'm just recording the match, just as that's the thing, so I was going to turn my monitor off there. It's going to be a big challenge because Palace only conceded 12 goals in the league all season prior to this game. I don't know how many of those were at home. I suppose I can find out now, can't I? How many had they conceded at home? They'd only conceded 7 goals at home, which is not a lot of goals, obviously. That's pretty darn impressive for them, and indeed they just have a very good defensive record generally. So being without Doku was a pretty bad start, because you want your best low block players on the pitch against sides who are going to like play back 5 especially. Palace aren't a strict low block side, more of a mid block one. Obviously, when they get to their own defensive thirds, then they do turn into that. But you want your best weapons on the pitch all at once. So not having Doku there was a big L for us. But what I would say is, in that first half especially, and with this, I will be parroting a lot of what I said on the watch-along, so if you were there for the watch-along, then you already know a lot of what I'm going to say for the remainder of this stream, is I don't really know what Doku being on the pitch would have done in that first half. Because if you look at how Palace were playing, and it was no surprise to how they set up, it's how they have set up for a lot of games this season, is they don't do a full-on Burnley or Sunderland where it's very, very defensive. As soon as like the opponent gets into like a settled shape, they will engage in like the middle area of the pitch. And we saw that today, how much of the ball City had either just within our half or just within Palace's half. There was very, very limited sustained possession for City on the edge of Palace's box. So this wasn't going to be a Palace defending for their lives camping situation. Whilst Palace are a defensive side, they are still very good at forcing you away from their goal. Now, it does come at a cost, and Rush has just said it there. They also don't necessarily score that many goals. So whilst they don't have a very good home record, they don't lose a lot, and that was the key, really. And we know that even a draw, even at this relatively early stage in the season, we're not going to have a good time because we'd be 4 points behind Arsenal, and that whole momentum that we had been building would have been lost. So we did really need to win this game based on that. So they don't lose at home a lot, but they do tend to draw a lot. So it was a pretty strong likelihood of this game perhaps being a draw in the end. And in that first half, we'll talk about the off-ball as well, but let's first of all chat about maybe the on-ball situation, because we simply could not get a proper vantage in the game. We had all of the ball. That was great. So we controlled the game in that sense for the majority of it, of that first half. But it was possession that basically meant nothing. If you've got 70% of the ball and all of it's like on the edge of your opponent's box or within the penalty box, chances are you're going to be creating a lot of chances, and you're going to be getting a lot of shots away, and you're going to be scoring a lot of goals. I can't remember too many chances in that first half. I know we had a Foden free kick, and we had, of course, the Haaland header. I think there was, I don't know if that counted as a goal where Shirky dinked it to Reinders. I don't think we basically forced a proper save from Henderson outside of the free kick, which was obviously a set piece. So the problem in that first half for City wasn't one of, oh, we're not creating enough. The problem was we couldn't even get into the area where that became relevant. Does that make sense? So it wasn't even like players like Shirky, Foden, Reinders, Bernardo, Haaland, whoever, or technically our wingers and like O'Reilly, they're not doing good from like a chance creation POV. We couldn't actually get the ball into the areas that you would want to do to actually begin the chance creation process. This is what we call a phase 2 problem, and I think that's what I've called the title of today's stream. The second phase of play is essentially where you are trying to progress the ball into your opponent's defensive third and like into the penalty and on like the edge of the penalty box, essentially getting from our half into the defensive third of Palace, and we simply could not do that. So this is why that I don't agree with this notion that if Doku were on the pitch for that first 40 minutes, then City would have had a better time. Because if we can assume that Doku would be taking up the same positions as it was Foden in that first half, he was basically playing his position in that first half anyway. Foden wasn't really receiving the ball in especially dangerous areas, so I don't know how much of it would have made. I don't think it would have made much of a difference at all, in all honesty. Because it wasn't like if Foden or Shirky or whoever it was, they were getting the ball and then they just weren't doing a positive action going forwards. they just weren't getting the ball full stop, or they weren't getting it in any especially relevant areas to actually impact the game in that manner. For players like Reinders, and I'm sure, I can't really recall Foden doing this, I'm sure he did do it sometimes, but I felt like it was mainly Reinders and Shirky who were guilty of this. They were far too eager to give the ball away, basically. And I wonder if that was because of the because we weren't able to actually get into the final third successfully. So I wonder if it was like almost like some impatience of, I don't know what to do here. We're running out of ideas. Let's just play it long and see what happens. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all, did it? When we rushed it and we weren't patient, we just ended up giving the ball away. So that clearly wasn't the solution, to just rush it and go forward quickly. That was wrong, because every time we tried to do that, it came straight back at us. And against a counter-attacking side like Crystal Palace, who were getting in behind us even without us playing like that, by the way, imagine if we leaned more into that, it's going to be even worse for a counter-attacking perspective. So the rushed actions didn't help either. And you'll notice that the one time that City were actually able to, I'll have to rewatch the goal, I can't remember how we actually got into that situation, but the one time that we actually had some sustained play on the edge of their box and we had pinned them into their own penalty box. Big up to Bernardo, by the way, because it's Bernardo who's on the ball and he takes away two Palace players, gives Nunes all the time in the world to pick his head up and play in the perfect ball. Of course, big up to Nunes for the ball. It's a fantastic one. But also big up to Bernardo for dragging the players away so Nunes had all the time in the world to deliver that ball. That was the only moment I can remember where City actually were able to do that, and it led to a goal. So that was a problem in the first half, and I do wonder what would have happened had that ball not been perfect. Because outside of that, there was very little that we were able to generate as for chances, because we couldn't even get to the position where we would want Shirky to be receiving the ball, or Foden to be receiving the ball, or even like Reinders to be receiving the ball. And if you were on the pitch, Doku to be receiving the ball. And if you were on the pitch, Savio to be receiving the ball. There was no bridge, essentially, between the two strands. I don't know if there's a way of, I don't know if there's like a data point which would showcase this. If anyone knows, let me know. But I would love to know what the average distance is between our defensive, this is when we're building up and have the ball. What is the average distance between our defensive line and our midfield line this season? Because to my eye, it seemed like today the gap was pretty significant between the two, and indeed by extension, I suppose, the attack as well. It seemed like there were pretty large distances, and you got to credit Crystal Palace for that, because that was clearly by design. Their front three essentially cut off certainly any central access for our defenders to our midfielders and also our attackers. But so massive credit to Palace for doing that and forcing us into that situation. But I don't think we helped ourselves either. How many times did I keep shouting in that, if you were here for the watch along, how many times did I keep saying in that first half, lads, like, can someone please drop back and actually try to be a point of connectivity between the two? That'd be really nice. I would wager that it was like twice as big, the gap, based on this game anyway. And when the gaps are that big and you run out of ideas, it does just lead to trying to hit long balls, doesn't it? And trying to go direct whenever you get the ball back. And that didn't work for us. Because we just kept giving it away every single time. If it turns into a second ball battle against Crystal Palace, we're going to have a bad time. And so that did come to pass every single time that happened. So that was my main gripe with the game. I'm going to talk. I appreciate I'm starting this stream quite negative, but don't worry. I'm just trying to do like a chronology of the game. And the first 40 minutes we were not having a good time. And it wasn't even like the Sunderland game where we're at least camping them in their own box. We're limiting them to nothing. We weren't even doing that, because if you can't push your opponent back as much, then they're going to be more of a threat on the counter-attack. And how many times did they play those through balls in behind us? Because that is playing to their strengths. So they very nearly got the better of us in that first half. They hit the woodwork at least once. Donnarumma, I can't remember if it was first half or second half, but he was fantastic for that one moment where he had to be against Mateta, where he closed it down. Fantastic work by Donnarumma. I think it was first half. I feel like it was. That was really, really good. Very important to do that. We could have well been a goal behind in that first half. But thankfully, the ball from Nunes is wonderful. And the header from Haaland is fantastic as well. So he just put it on a plate for him, doesn't he, Nunes? It's wonderful. And again, shout out to Bernardo for generating that space. And then the second half happened. And from there, it's a totally different game. And we can talk about that a bit more positively for sure. I always do this. I always yap for too much. Let me come to the chat and see what you guys are saying. Is Rodri fit for West Ham? Almost definitely not, Brandon. Work rate is insane from Tijani. Just needs to consistently finish. I want Shirky to start versus Brentford. He is wonderful. Josh, absolutely. Absolutely he is. The players are gassed, says Phoenix YouTube, no doubt. Nunes has 18 assists. That does feel like a lot. He's got a really good cross on him, though. He does have a really good cross on him. If you give him space, it's like you got a great crossing threat in O'Reilly on the left. You got a great crossing threat in Nunes on the right. It's a lovely time. It is a lovely time. It does feel like a lot, yeah. No Doku, no problem, says Naveen. It still would have been better if we did have him on the pitch, but there's no doubt in my mind that first half, I don't really know what he would have been doing because he's not receiving the ball. Beast feels bad for Marmoush. This definitely wasn't a game for him, though. Definitely not the right game for him. An impressive win. I agree, Evan, certainly. Why people bashing Nico, says Beast. We'll get into the individual ratings at some point for sure, but he did give away a couple stinky balls, which was a bit of a shame. We hope Roger will give a rest for Nico at some point. It has to happen, of course. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, Mike? Because I feel like we always struggle against Palace at their ground, but we do have a really good record. So I don't know if that's just me misremembering, or are we having tough games? I think even in like the treble year, I think that we only just about won 1-0 thanks to a Haaland penalty. Or was it the year after? I can't remember. But it does feel like we always struggle, but we still do well. Which I guess is good. First goal was a prime treble season pattern, says Spartacus. Sacrifice the League Cup. You can't sacrifice the competitions. We're in the quarterfinals now. We're in the quarters now. You got to take it seriously to a degree. There'll be lots of rotation, but still. Why didn't they ask about Doku? I don't know. I don't know anything about Doku, though, no. I recall 3 times O'Reilly getting the ball in the space on the left when Foden's run dragged a man away. If that were Doku, would have taken his man on instead. But instead of Foden. But you can't have... I don't understand. I think you're saying that if Doku was in O'Reilly's position there, but I don't think that's how it works. They also had a lot of time on the ball, so they can play balls in behind, says TP Link. I think it was right that we didn't engage them too high in the press, because that's how they want to play. Yeah, I'd like to know what that is. I'd like to know what the difference is in the lines. I would like to know what the difference is in the lines, because it did seem like the gaps were pretty significant today. Positive side, good chemistry, Shirky, Foden, Silva, clean sheet, 2 games, Premier League, solid defence, good Haaland. Negative side, fatigue of the players, Marmoush, Aït-Nouri, Doku injury. The Doku injury is, of course, a big problem. If it's a long-term one, I don't know, though. Fenway says, Pep hasn't realised team can't build up the way it used to. Needs to build tactics for that initially so he doesn't have to make the adjustment in the second half. Yeah, thankfully he did make the adjustment, and we will talk about that. But you are right. It's a shame that we shouldn't have to be doing that as much as we are doing. Hopefully Rodri coming back will also help that, because like today, and like normally when there's a build-up, and I think this is maybe the first time this season, I might be wrong, I feel like this is the first time this season where I've said we've got a build-up problem and it's nothing to do with our phase 1 situation. So in the past when I've said, oh guys, we have a bit of a build-up problem, and I've not said specifically why, that's because normally it is because of Donnarumma. I don't think, but that wasn't the reason today, though, because if it wasn't the phase 1 problem, it was more of a phase 2 situation. So I don't think, I mean, you could argue that he still would have pushed up anyway if you're better on the ball, but I don't think that's the main problem, in fairness today. So when I say like build-up problems today, I'm not even blaming Donnarumma today. Even though I have an agenda. We've drawn there a lot. Yeah, it was the treble year where Haaland did that one. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm still not a fan of our pressing structure. Not at all. So, we just discussed then, there was a second half change. And what was the change? And it was the change that we... Well, no, before we even do that, this may not be as relevant because in the second half, Palace had to come out a lot more, obviously. So that helped as well. The fact that we scored a lovely goal, that changes the game state. But even if it didn't change it, and I still think it's relevant to talk about, we did still make the change. And I've tweeted the change. I've got visual evidence. Yes, I have the visuals for you. It was something that we were begging for. Well, I was certainly begging for it anyway, in that first half. And it was essentially all to do with the positioning of... It didn't have to be Foden, but it had to be someone. Whether it was Reinders, Foden, Bernardo, I don't really care, so long as it's someone. There we go. So this, for me, is ultimately why City won the game. In a nutshell, if you're like, well, what was the key difference between the first half and the second half? Why do we have such little problems in the second compared to the first? Of course, the goal changes everything massively, but there's no doubt this was also a key element of it. Foden had more than twice as many touches in his own half in the second half compared to the first. So this is Foden's touch map in his own defensive half. You've got the first half on the left, second half on the right. There was no connectivity or bridge between basically accessing the attack. It was just defense passing it around, not able to get through the front three of Mateta, Sarr, and Pino. Is that how I pronounce his name? And just like going out, it probably would have been like that sad horseshoe shape, where you're just like going round and round and side to side, unless you're going long and then you're just not doing anything. So there was no one able to access the attacking players because we had to drop a player deep. It definitely orange ball moo. We know this works because we've seen it happen so many times this season. The Everton game is a great example where that happened. We were struggling in that first half to break them down properly. We ended up winning it in the second half. Why was that the case? Because we got Foden more on the ball in deeper areas. And we're able to just have a far more structured build. And we're able to ask more questions of them. You're able to drag players out of position a lot easier. That also generates space. And it does help, of course, that you are a goal up. But we should have been doing that even at 0-0 as well. So this, I think, is ultimately why City were able to be so much better in that second half. You have more measure on the game. You have more control on the game. Your attackers are more involved in the game. And if you are a goal up at that point, even better. Because now your opponent has to come out a bit more. And that means there's more space. That means that there's more opportunities for counter-attack. That then means it's actually a more viable strat to go long and more direct more quickly when you are leading as opposed to when it's 0-0. Thankfully, the second goal is an error. And then the third goal comes from an obvious counter-attack when they're trying to chase the game. But even before then, there was a moment, I think it was the Reinders shot, where Foden picks up the ball in a deeper zone, and he expertly, without much space, plays it into Shirky. Shirky, of course, finds Reinders. Reinders takes a shot. It's a good save. I think in hindsight, it would have been very tricky for him to find Haaland because Richards was marking him. So even before the second goal, which was an error, we still played really, really. We still had some much better moments in that second half compared to the first. So that for me was the key. That was the key. What a surprise! It's another situation where Foden and Shirky are combining and playing fantastically well and winning us the game. You love to see it, you really do. It's almost as if these two players are destined to play with one another. Who could have predicted such a thing? I never could have envisaged two really techie, creative, elite footballers would be able to play well together in the same team. I never could have suspected this would have been a good recipe for success. Oh my gosh. Who could have predicted that? Not me, that's who. You would need a degree in football to predict that they could play well together. It was almost as if they were always going to play well together. Weird. I'm not letting that go ever. In case you guys haven't figured that out yet, I'm never letting that go. People saying in the summer that they were never going to work together. Nah. You ain't getting away with it, Sonny Jim lad. That's just a birthmark, Lucas. See, my eyes fine. Always had that. Well, I didn't have it when I was like 1, but I had it like it developed from age of like 2 or something. I don't know. And we were good in front of goal when we had the moments. And there's not really too much else to. I don't think there's too much else to say about RE analysis because it was pretty. It was pretty straightforward thereafter. Palace had to come out more, so we hit them on the counter-attack when we had the opportunity and the space. If the space is there to be exploited, exploit it. If it's not there to be exploited, as it wasn't in the first half, then you can't. But if you're playing a defensive side and you score a goal, then they have to come out more, don't they? Nice. This is a big win. It would have been even bigger if Wolves could have done us a favour. Sadly not. But there were some really good performances, I felt, today. There are still problems with the off-ball structure. And I'm still unsure as to whether any combination of personnel can make it work. There is no doubt that Rodri coming back into the side would help. And there is no doubt that if he signed a player like Anderson, that would also help. But it is a worry how much Palace were able to create against us. And don't forget, they hit the crossbar at 0-0. If that goes in, they become even more defensive. We might get shafted a little bit. So I still have concerns. I still have concerns as to the off-ball situation, but I don't want to be too negative on it. I don't want to keep banging that drum because I feel like I say that every single game and it must be getting very repetitive. I don't think it was offside. I'll need to look at it again, but I thought O'Reilly was playing him on that far side. Might be wrong. I might be wrong. In fact, I think I've got the game on right now. I'll have a little look. I thought he was on. I'll have a cheeky little gander. What minute was that shot in, lads? What minute did they hit the crossbar? It was relatively early on, was it? 17th minute. If it was off, then fairs. I thought O'Reilly was playing him on, though. We'll have a look, though. We'll have a cheeky little look. We'll have a look. Of course we'll have a look. This is the beauty of having a Skybox, guys. It records the games, so I can rewind it now and have a little cheeky gander. If it's offside, then I'm reading too much into it, absolutely. But I thought O'Reilly was playing him on the far side. But either way, it was tight, and I don't like how fine the margins were. Whether it's on or off, I don't like how fine the margins were for a number of those through balls. It's not like they were massively offside every single time. Getting a little bit cheeky. There were some cheeky moments. I've not seen the SofaScore player ratings, matey, no. But we will be doing our own Fanalysis player ratings later, so make sure to stay tuned for that. We are just rewinding. Now, if I can get my words out. And let's have a little look. Let's have a look. See, Wharton hit the post in the second half as well, didn't he? That was a shame. That was when Nico gave the ball away. Got away with one there. Got away with one. Okay. So I don't actually need to see the shot. I need to see a replay of the shot, don't I? That's what I need. Okay. We're in the 17th minute now. Let's see if I can have a replay. Flo says we don't close mark enough when we don't have the ball. We gave up too much space, and we know we need to sort out our off-ball structure, don't we? Am I going to have a replay here? That's the angle I'm after. I'm not after the ball. I'm after the replay of the thing. Or do I need to go back even more then? Yeah, okay. Here we go. So he hits the crossbar. Show me the replay. The players were asking for an offside, so they clearly thought he was offside, and it was tight. It was tight, so let's see. And then we've got the replay now. Okay. Pause it. Is that the through ball? Oh, gosh, it is tight. When does he play the actual ball? Wait, one sec. I'm going to pause it. He might just be offside, but it's one of those where it's tight. Let me show you. Here we go. It's not immediately obvious, I would say. Because it's more offside than what I originally thought. But I thought that about that Diaz one, you know, where Diaz was apparently playing him onside, was against Newcastle, and that got given. So that might be like a shoulder thing for O'Reilly. It basically is very tight. Thankfully, like, Pino is leaning forward, so maybe his armpit is offside. I'm not sure. What do you guys reckon, though? Like, that is close. It is tight, Jack. What do you guys reckon? Is the Palace player onside or offside? What do you think? Should I do a poll? Should I do a cheeky little poll? Or do I not care that much? It's because so far we've got like a split. We've got a split decision here. We've got a fair few people saying off. We've got a fair few people saying on. Just off by a fraction. That's how tight it is, though. Whether it's off or on, there's a fraction in it. And that's a concern, how easily they were able to do that. Of course, like, it's fantastic play by Wharton. Like, it's a lovely ball. But I don't like how often they were able to play over us or through us like that. That was a bit of a shame. That was a darn shame. I tell you what, I will do a poll. Just because I want draw the lines. Okay. I can do that. I don't know if I can draw a straight line though. Line. Oh my god, I actually can. Okay. How I want to make this a thin line, right? Guys, we're gonna do some VAR shenanigans here. But what's the point? Is it O'Reilly's foot or is it his armpit? I don't know. I'm not a professional, guys. Should it be going more like that? Zoom in. Yeah, okay, I'll zoom in. Yeah, good point. Okay, I'm zooming in, guys. I'm just going to also create a poll. This is some... get me in the VAR room, lads. Get me in the VAR room. Let me start a poll. Is this onside or off? Onside, offside. Right, there's a poll going. This is professional from me, guys. We're gonna zoom in. Oh, look at this. Nobbins Favar, who says no exactly. Yes, guys, look at this. Come on. I'm not going to get a satisfying answer regardless. The problem is I don't know where my starting point should be. Is it the foot or is it the shoulder? If it's the foot, then it's there, isn't it? And now I can't do it. Wait. Now I can't draw my line. Hello? What's going on? Oh, my line's broken now. God damn it. Come on. Oh, I've got it on a razor, that's why. This is new technology, guys. This is new technology. I can't... Is it like that? I don't know what angle to draw. That's the problem. Is it like that? I'll tell you what I should do. I should draw like a line from that patch of grass to that patch of grass and then try to make it parallel, shouldn't I? Okay. I think that he might just be offside by a toe. If we're saying that's parallel. I think that he might just be. But it might be like the... It might be the shoulder. No, that's not good. That's going to be worse, isn't it? No, never mind. Oh my god. What a mess this is. What an absolute mess. Can I get rid of this? Yeah, that's not going to help me, is it? So the actual line is there. Yeah. Now I need to try to make this parallel. I think there's a toe in it. There might be a toe in it. I'm not sure. I'm not a professional line drawer though, guys. I don't know if that's parallel. But there we go. It's very tight regardless. However you want to slice it. It is very tight. There we go. That was fun. Guys, we should do VAR more often. I can't believe we've never done that before. What's going on? The real VAR is the people, and the people say that 69% offside. There you go. The people have spoken. By the way, very, very close. Very, very close, and I didn't like how close for comfort it was. I will say that. I will say that. Yeah, that was fun. Nah, Nobbins assistant ref. Good process. Good process. Yeah. I probably could have just done that, David. That probably would have been more simple. But I don't know if I can move a line once it's drawn. I don't know if the technology is that good. This is temperamental tech. Yeah, experimental tech. Yeah, it is difficult from that POV. But either way, there were a number of times where they played a good through ball in, and I didn't like how exposed we were. I'll have to have a on the rewatch. I'll try to see why that was. Didn't help that Wharton was fantastic today. Like, because I know there are lots of City fans who don't rate Wharton or don't think he's that good. Hopefully that has provided some insight into the type of player he is, because he is very lovely. He is very lovely. And I do think that he would definitely improve City. There's no doubt about it. Is he the best option for us? Maybe not, but he's a really nice option. And yeah, basically all of his fantastic creativity today was with the right foot as well. So big up to him. Yeah. You'd think so, Sub. You would think so, yes. DS missed a pass because Nico made a horrible run to Spartacus. Do you think Omar and Nori need AFCON? Yeah, they do. They do. If they can get... Obviously, they'll start every single game. Which is good for us. Maybe, Jack. I prefer Wharton, but I do think for City, Anderson's probably a better bet. He probably does provide more of the off-ball that we need. Probably. Wharton, Rodri, Foden, or Anderson, Rodri, Foden. I think that especially if we're saying that Rodri comes back, because the key selling point between Wharton and Anderson is that, because they do share similar traits, I think that's fair to say, but they are still very different players. And I think that the traits that would be most interesting for City would be Wharton's creative and passing range from deep, and for Anderson, who can also pass, of course. I'm not trying to say that that's all they are, but for Anderson, it would be the off-ball work and the running power and the dual winning. I think that especially with Rodri, I don't know if you necessarily need that extra bit of creative range because Rodri's got that. Whereas you could have a player to help better support Rodri, and I think that would be Anderson. So that's probably why I would be more interested in signing an Anderson rather than a Wharton. Even though, I will repeat, I actually think Wharton is the better player, and I actually prefer Wharton as a player. It's more so about what does a team need. And I think that City need Anderson more than they need Wharton. So that's probably how I would summarize that. So I would rather have Rodri, Anderson, Foden. Give me both, says CJ. We won't get both. We won't get both. There's no way. We've got too many bodies as is. We've got too many bodies as is, so we need to be reducing. So replace Bernardo and Kova with like one signing and then try to find the balance elsewhere in the squad, probably. Cool. Yeah, there we go. So that was like we spent a bit more time on being a pretend VAR than I planned. But that was just a fun exercise, in fairness. So, but either way, it was a thing. Here's another little tidbit for you. It's a good point. Yeah, but there's positives and negatives to both, aren't they? Haaland is now City's eighth highest goal scorer. 8th highest. He has scored 147 goals for City. He is only 1 goal off Francis Lee. Francis Lee was before Aguero, he was, in my opinion, the best striker we've ever had in our history. So that's big. That is big to nearly be eclipsing Francis Lee. Unbelievable striker. I think he won 2 league titles because he won one with Derby after he left City. That's how good he was. Yeah, he's on 147, 8th highest goal scorer. 23 goals this season for Haaland is insane. Here's another tidbit for you. Foden has now scored 10 this season. He's scored 110. I thought I heard Miss Nobbins saying something to me, but she must be on the phone or something. He's now on 110 goals. Foden is our 16th highest goal scorer in our history. He's got a way to catch up to the next person, who is Roberts. I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew who Roberts was. He must have been from our sides from, I'm guessing, the 30s maybe. But either way, he's a fair bit off there. But then he's getting close to like the top 10 area. It seems pretty obvious to me that by the time these two players are going to end their careers with us, they're going to be in at least the top 3. At least. Surely. Because they're still so young as well. I just thought that was interesting as well. So we would have 2 City fans in our top 3 highest goal scorers ever, which I think is great. So it's going to be Aguero, so it's going to be Haaland, Aguero, Foden. Foden may actually get more than Aguero. He's already on 110. He'd have to get another 150 plus, but another decade at City could easily happen, which is an insane thing to think about. So we're on record watch here. We are on record watch. Yo, is this I can't believe I just said yo there, crazy. Is this a real quote? Someone has just said that apparently Foden in a post-match interview said, after the match, we tried to attack too quickly in the first half. You know what that is? That's the being vindicated. That's the being vindicated feeling, yes? Look at that. We sometimes know what we're talking about on this channel. Crazy. If that's true, then I'll watch the post-match interview after. Before we get on to the Finalysis player ratings, is there anything else we want to cover about the match that we have just done there? What do we reckon? What do you reckon? Anything else? Sorry if this has been a bit more of a simple analysis and post-mortem, sorry, but I do think this was quite a straightforward game to dissect. First half, played too quick, didn't have enough players deep. Second half, had players deep. We successfully controlled the game from there. Brinks, exactly. Yeah, make sure to leave a like on the video, guys. It is free and it helps support the channel. I should be a VAR referee, absolutely. Faster than the official one. Yeah, but it may have been wrong, though. It may have been well wrong. I don't know. I'm just chilling. I don't know what I'm doing. Wharton's great. Anson's more of what we need. I think I agree, Lucas. Big up to you, Miami. Yeah, CJ, that's greedy from you. He'll overtake Messi for Pep's top scorer soon. Yeah, I hope so. Doku's injured. We don't have any other information on that. Frank Roberts born in 1893. Did I get it right? Did I get it right that he was in like our... Oh no, that would have been too early. He must have been in our teams from even earlier then. Maybe he was involved in our first... No, he would have been too young. Never mind. Is Foden a City legend? Easily. Yeah. Easily. How are you feeling about Wednesday? I want to win, but think we need to rotate. Yeah, we definitely have to, I think. We've got 2 games where... It's games where it's more like, okay, now we can perhaps rotate. Home against West Ham. League Cup game against Brentford. It is a quarter-final game. I don't want us to be underestimating that game. I don't want us to just sack it off. But there is no doubt that we do need to have a think about resting players like Bernardo, Foden, maybe Haaland, but maybe even not. Certainly the players that need a rest. This would have been a rest for Doku. I don't think I would have started Doku in either game. He's obviously going to have to, quote, get a rest because he's injured. I know it doesn't really count. But if we can give Foden some time off, then that would be nice. That would be really cute. We have half an hour extra rest in Brentford. This could be huge. Shut up. Because like Foden was so clearly drained against Real Madrid, and it would have been nice if we could have given him a game off today. Once again, he scored a lovely goal, so it's a problem. Savio's world class. Yeah, big up to Savio, man. I liked him coming on. That was a good change. That was a really good change. Reinders was maybe our weakest player today. Savio coming on was good. Okay, he played at left wing, but who cares at this point? Like, it's the last 5 minutes. He did literally everything perfect that you needed him to do. There's going to be more space to run at. Retain the ball. And people like saying, oh, I wish he would have had the shot. I really liked his decision-making. I think he played the probability game there, because he was like, right, well, I could have a shot here and maybe score, or maybe it gets saved. Or I could round the keeper and... hopefully I successfully do it, of course, but one of 2 things is going to happen there, because we know he's a great dribbler, so he backs himself more to do that. Either I'm going to have a tap-in and score, in which case I've increased the probability that I will score, or I'm going to win a penalty, in which case it's an 80% chance to score. So I think Savio played the probability game there, and and the dice landed in his favour. So I thought the decision-making was perfect, in all honesty. The worst that would have happened with that decision was Henderson does successfully tackle him. But it's a very challenging thing for Henderson to do that against a really tricky dribbler in Savio. So I liked how he backed his dribbling. And he either created a basically 100% chance to score or an 80% chance to score. Because if he's shooting there, I don't know what the probability is. Maybe like 60, 70%. I liked the decision making. And that was something that I was critical of in the Madrid cameo, even though I liked most of what he did against Madrid. Sometimes the decision-making wasn't there. He had one decision to make in this game, and he executed it perfectly. So, yeah, Savio deserves massive credit, and he should be starting against Brentford, and maybe he should even be starting against West Ham as well. So there's a lot to like about his cameo, and hopefully even his biggest detractors can accept that he's had 2 very good back-to-back cameos there, which have been pretty good for securing the win for City. Shirky made the difference. Yeah, Shirky was lovely. We were able to access him a lot more in that second half. Yeah, Kusanov will definitely start against Brentford. One has to, yeah, definitely. There won't be a preview for that game, of course, but there will be a touchline talk on Tuesday, so we can do a preview there and we can try to think what our starting 11 is. But yeah, no doubt Kusanov should start. Ideally, Marmoush and Ainuri would start, but they're not here, of course. Lewis, you'd think, would start. Trafford should start. Maybe Ake. Maybe Bob. Maybe. Does depend. Hopefully not, because then that means Savio probably left, and that would upset me. There probably won't be a post-mortem now. Probably not. Probably not for a League Cup game in a quarter-final. That's more like semi-final or final for the League Cup. Yeah, Savio should definitely start, shouldn't he? Should definitely start. I just don't want Savio playing off the left. That's why I was cautious about saying Bob will definitely start, but I want Savio to play on the right. I think Lewis is a good potential place as a midfield in the half spaces, definitely. Who else is in it? I think Arsenal. And that's all I know, to be honest. Newcastle, question mark? I don't know. Don't know. Right. Will I upload today's game post-match analysis video? Not today, no matey. I've not even rewatched the game. I'm doing this right now. That'd be quite challenging for me to do that. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day. I can't rewatch the game straight after this and then do a post-match analysis video straight after this. I'm going to go away, chill out, and I've not eaten any food today, apart from like some cheese. So I need to go and have some food as well before I do any more work. 5 observations will come out tomorrow, as it always does. It always comes out the day after. Not good enough, yeah, reasonable. Reasonable. Yeah, I've taken a shower. I'm not that disgusting. Chill. Right, shall we get into the Finalysis player ratings, or is there anything else where we will dissect the individual performances more so? Is there anything else that we would like to touch on before we do that, like any other structural changes, any other tactical changes, or any other concerns that we may have that's not on an individual level before we get into the Finalysis player ratings? Let me know. If not, we can just get straight into it. Nunes analysis. Well, that sounds like an individual thing, so we can do that when we get to the play rating section. Marmoush Nori, well, they're going to AFCON, so they'll hopefully get some minutes there. Well, they'll start every single game, won't they? Can I wear something Christmassy for the preview? I'll wear my snowman jumper when it's the final preview or post. It's the final video before Christmas, basically. I don't know when that would be. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we are going to do the player ratings. What would that video be? Let's see if we can figure it out. That would probably be... It's either a West Ham post-match analysis video or a Nottingham Forest preview. I might have to release a preview for that on like the 23rd of December because you're crazy if you think I'm doing any work on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or indeed Boxing Day. And then the game's on the 27th, so maybe the 23rd. So one of those videos I'll wear my Christmas jumper. Kusanov at right back. I don't think we need 2 attacking fullbacks, keep 1 defensive. If you do that, though, how are you getting Shirky into the side properly? And what if you need your fullback to advance? I also hate the idea of Kusanov at right back. And Nunes is doing a great job, so there's no need to shoehorn in players if there's no benefit to be gained from it. Like Nunes today. For example, we don't even have to talk about the defensive problems I have with Kusanov at right back. And this is why I haven't been talking about it, because I've realised how fundamental the concern is. We ain't scoring that first goal if Kusanov's at right back, chat. I don't know if you've noticed, but Kusanov ain't a particularly good crosser. Nunes is. There is zilch of an offensive presence if you got Kusanov on the pitch. Rightly so, he's a centre-back. So, nah, I've got no interest in Kusanov at right-back. We need to sign a right-back, move him to centre-back. That's his position. That is his opportunity to get some time in the team. What do you mean you can't eat, stream, make analysis, rewatch a game at the same time? Not good enough. But absolutely I can. I love that. I love that request, by the way. You said can, and you said please. Love that. Not like that guy who really pissed me off the other day when the first thing he said in my chat was, make a video. Yeah, how about you go fuck yourself? Yeah? Telling me to do things like that, pissing me off. I was to believe that Boxing Day is a thing. Brilliant. Right, guys. Let's do the player ratings. Oh no. Oh. My one of my friends who lives in Wales, so I barely ever get to see him, he apparently dropped by like 30 minutes ago to drop off his wedding invite. I obviously couldn't say hello. Damn it, guys. This is all your fault, yeah? I'll see him at some point. Guys, we got the invite. Big up. Anyway, what was I doing? Analysis, there we go. Yeah, it's not good enough. It's all your fault, yes. They were just in the area. They didn't come specifically to hand deliver a thing. They just came to they're in the area, so they just popped in. That must have been what Mrs. Nobbins was saying. She was right to not disturb me, in fairness. She's correct. I couldn't have spent any time, really. Okay. Analysis. The app where I rate things. And you guys can too. You know the drill? You know the drill by now. 50 is average. Or 5. Whatever. 60 is above average. 70 is good. 80 is great. 90 is brilliant. 100 is perfect. If you want to do small numbers like 5 points, then you go for it. But make sure you're adding in the decimal. Yeah, make sure you're throwing in the decimal there. We always start back to front. We'll do these ratings and then we'll take more questions and thoughts and have a chat later. So, let's start from the back as we always do. Donnarumma had a very good game, I felt. I was really, really not happy with his Real Madrid performance. Like, I was properly annoyed for a number of reasons. I felt that he was very good today. There was that one corner he was very dominant at. He didn't have to do any passing out from the back, so that was obviously playing into his favour. He smothered that Mateta chance as well. So that was really good. Even when he did something bad, and I complained, you know, it was like the 85th minute, or whenever it was, I can't remember exactly when, and he punched it and we just should have claimed it. Hey, it still led to Savio then doing that and winning the penalty. So I thought Donnarumma had a really good game. So I think this is going to be quite a high rating for Don. What are you guys saying? Just having a look at the saves that he made. I can't recall any like mad saves, but he saved what he had to do. The Mateta one, sorry, is the one I was most impressed by. What do you guys reckon, though? What do you guys reckon? Get your play ratings in the chat, please. Can I do from 0 to 1? Yeah, of course you can. So 0.8, that means 80, yeah. 7.8, 80, 7.5, 80. Yeah, he did do that, but I'm willing to let that go because it's whatever. He was tactically winning a corner, yeah. 70. 6. Big Dom makes a lot of aura saves. It's tough to know how much of that he should get credit for. 2 posts. Yeah, but I don't know if there was much he could have done with either of them, in fairness. Like, he was beaten, but I don't think he could have done much. They were pretty good shots. 8, 7.5, 8.5, 77. Yeah, I'm going to say a high 7 for this one. I'm going to say that it was on the border of having a great game. So I'm going to go 70. I'm going to go 77. So a high 7 for Don. I think that's a good rating for him. Yeah, exactly, Ken Boy. I think we were in alignment there. We had a couple of 80s, but we had mainly like mids to high 7s. So I think that's pretty good. Ruben Diaz. He played that one smelly ball, which did upset me in the second half. Outside of that, I thought he dealt with Mateta quite well. He did struggle with their front three, but that was all of our players, in fairness. He had a pretty challenging time with all of their pacing behind and also their strength with Mateta until he went off, thankfully, and was no longer an outlet. Did give away that one ball. 0 out of 7 accurate long balls is crazy. Oh my god, Spartacus, what is this? What is this? 7.5, 8, 7, 7.6, 7, 70, 7.5 instead of 8. He's been underrated this season, 76, 78. I don't know what that means, Spartacus. So I think we're looking at another maybe like mid to high 7s for Ruben. I don't know if I want to rate him higher than Don. So I'm going to go 75. I think they're close. There were some nice blocks in there as well. But I'm going to go slightly less than Don personally. I think that maybe Don had a slightly better game. So I'm going to go 75 for Diaz based on that. Yoshko. Squeaky bum time at the start. I thought I was going to get a concussion and had to be taken off because of that. Thankfully not. He had a shot. What was the shot? Oh, for the header. Yeah, that's fairs. Can't recall him giving away the ball in a silly manner. Oh, he dealt well with Mateta. Basically a carbon copy of my thoughts on Diaz. I thought Gvardio likewise did quite well with Mateta. I'm 2 for 2 on sofa score. Maybe I should just like copy all of them. Hello? Should I bring sofa score up, lads? I don't have I normally have like foot mob up just so I can see like any actions to help guide me. 6.5, 7.3, 80, 7.8, 7.5. Better than Diaz, says Salman. I think that I'm going to basically do the exact same rating, but one higher, just because I didn't like the silly pass that Diaz made into Wharton, I believe. So I'm going to go 76 for Gvardio based on that. But basically identical between the two. And indeed between the three. There's only like 2 points in it. 77, 75, and 76 between the two there. 3 there, sorry. Right, Nunes, arguably man of the match. One could argue. One could argue he was man of the match. He got the all-important assist for the first goal. Did a good job against their pacey forward line. There's one moment where he had to be strong and he had to be quick, and he absolutely locked in that moment. I was very happy with Nunes' performance. What are we saying, Ari, his defensive actions? He was apparently dribbled with pass once, which I don't even remember. I really liked his performance, though. I think it's going to start with an 8. What is this? What is this? Officially Nunes fan, that's my go. Nunes 8.4, 8.2, 10, 83. Start again sloppy late in the second half. 80, 8.5, 86, 100. Chill, Nunes, chill, 8.5. It's going to be something with an 8 for me. Definitely. I'm thinking maybe like a mid to low 8, though. I felt that he had a great game. I did feel like he had a great game. I'd give Nunes a noon out of Nunes. He's co-man of the match, says Miami. No, it can't. No, it can't. 84, 85. Yeah, I'm going to do 80-something, because I do feel like he had a great game. But I'm going to go a lower 80. I'm going to say 83. 83. I'm not going to quite put him into the mid-range. But I'm going to go a little cheeky 83 for Nunes, whose performance I did like a lot. Arguably the man of the match. Arguably man of the match. O'Reilly. Quieter game than his Madrid masterclass, of course. But like I'm saying with basically all of the defenders, I know they got in behind us a lot of times, but I don't think that was really the fault of any individual defender necessarily. It wasn't as offensive. It wasn't providing as much offensively as we have seen in the past. I do think that Doku not being on the pitch is a big factor in that, in fairness. Like, we know that he and Doku have a fantastic relationship and dynamic with one another. It's still going to be something with a 7, though. I still thought that he was, like, good. He was the quietest defender. I think that's fair, and he probably is going to get the lowest rating. But that doesn't mean he was bad. That doesn't mean he was bad by any means. In fact, I thought that he was solid, and I thought that he was good. So I'm going to give him a cheeky little 70... 73. Just a couple below Diaz for me. Cheeky little 73. Actually, no, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. 73. Okay. Tijani Reinders was probably the weakest player on the pitch. Probably. He was not able to be accessed in the first half, which I've said is not necessarily his fault. He made that one good run for Shirky. Second half, he maybe could have had a goal. I'm not going to say he should have had a goal, but I felt he made the right decision running into the space and then taking the shot. He did make some good runs, absolutely he did. It is a shame he wasn't able to convert. But I do think that he's probably the lowest rating of any player I'm going to assess. What do you guys reckon? What are we saying here? Is there anything I can gather from his defensive contributions? How much of a chance was that shot? Apparently, that was only a 0.04 XG chance to score. That seems very low. That seems very low to me. I thought it was a much better chance than that. Dispossessed a couple of times. How many defensive actions? 6. It's not terrible. It's not ideal. It's not terrible, though. Only won a quarter of his ground duels. We know that this is a recurring theme with Reinders. He does need to get better in that sense. What do you guys reckon, though? 72, 6, 70, 70, 60, 17.3, 7.2. 6.3, 6.5, 6.9, 65, 63. I think some of the guys played so well in the second half, we forgot it was a 6. It's still a good game. It was very solid. For me, it is going to start with a 6. Just because I don't think that he was like bad at all. And I do appreciate some of the runs that he made because movement was going to be key in this game. But I'm going to give him a 66. I give him a cheeky little 66. I think that's reasonable. Nico G. There were a couple of moments where we said it on the watch-along, he's dillied and he's dallied. And that did lead to some good chances for Palace. And it's a shame because outside of that, he was good. He was actually good in the game. He's the player who engaged in the most defensive actions on the pitch as well. We know that he's currently been given a very challenging role out of possession as well. He struggled to try to be that bridge and break through Palace's front press. But I do think that despite the wayward passes, overall he was really good defensively. So it's a tricky one to judge. For me, it's going to be close to Reinders, but I did feel like instinctively Reinders was the worst pitch. So I'm probably going to give worst player on the pitch. Sorry. So I'm going to give him a 67 based on that, just because as the defensive midfielder, you can't give away the ball and get tackled that frequently, because that's like one of your main jobs. So I do have to judge you based on that, and you weren't doing it. So of course there's fatigue, and of course there's the fact that he's not supported enough, but I do still need like a bare minimum level, and I don't think it's excusable to give away the ball twice in dangerous areas like that if you are my defensive midfielder. O'Reilly, I gave O'Reilly 73. And I've given Nico 67. I don't think... I am holding those two moments against him pretty significantly there. But I think that's fair. I do think that is fair. Because my DM can't be giving away the ball that much in those dangerous areas, in my opinion. Bernardo. He does the quiet things very well. He enables so much in this side. He's never going to get the plaudits for these sorts of performances, and perhaps that is reflected in rankings. So people will say that he was very quiet and whatnot, but that's not necessarily his role in this City side. And I do appreciate and value a lot of what he does offer City, whether it's in possession or not. Lucas says, I think Nico's better than Nico. That's a controversial statement. Let's see if it pays off for you. He's another player who I think needs a rest. He's so clearly so tired. But because there was nothing too flashy about it, and I'll repeat, this is a consequence of the role he's being given, I'm going to give him a 70. Just a straight up good. Like, a straight up solid. Didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything especially flashy. But that's fine. That's sort of what I want from that player. Half the team needs arrested too. Yeah, and it's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, so even at his senior legs, he's 31, but I feel like his legs are a bit older. Still, like, engaging in 9 defensive actions, which is more than Reinders. I don't like that Bernardo is having to do that more so. He won 3 out of 4 of his ground duels, which is impressive. Made 8 recoveries. That's super impressive. Yeah. Yeah, I thought Bernardo had a good game. I thought he had a good game. So he's getting a 70 based on that. You get me? Yeah, half the team needs a rest, definitely. Luis went with a 7. A single DM being very active defensively is a double-edged sword. If he pulls it off, it's great. If he does not pull it off, they have a free run on the back line 100%. We are twinning on Bernardo. Brilliant. And that's a very good point as well. Yes, I did say when I was talking about the goal, the Bernardo was good for their goal. And in fact, yeah, you've charmed me. I'm actually going to give him another 2 based on his movement for their goal. 72. No, 71. He gets an extra 1. Right. Ryan Cherki. Very quiet first half because we weren't able to access him. Did fantastic for the second goal, though. Like, properly lovely run that he made. Riding the challenges. Once he had a bit more space to work with, he was wonderful. So quite a similar situation for the first half compared to the second for basically all of these players. Quiet first half, wasn't able to do much. Second half, so much better. And an instrumental. Could have had an assist as well, by the way. Could have had an assist for that Reinders effort, you know, with that Foden build-up into Cherki, into Reinders. So could have well had another assist. And ultimately, of course, like the goal is the main thing from that second goal, but still he had to create it, and it was lovely. So what do you guys reckon for this one? For Cherki? What we saying? Give me a Nico G, Reinders, Rico midfield. Savio, Bob, Hall in front 3. Sorry, is this against Brentford? Yeah, next game, says Smiam. Yeah, Cherki's now the league's joint top assister, which is insane, considering how many minutes he's played. Good point, Spartacus. 7.5, 80, 86, 77, 80. Cherki's got 8.9, goodness me. 0.8. 7.8 grew into the game. I think we can agree the number should start with an 8. It's either a high 7 or a low 8. I think. But for Miami, never mind. 86 for Miami. 75, I feel like he needs to do more defensively. 89, 77. 8, 78, 87, 7.8. I might give him a solid 80. I might do that. It's either a very high 7 or a very low 8. So I might give the lowest 8. Just because it's not necessarily his fault. But the first half, there wasn't too much going on. Of course, did come more into it in the second half when we changed our structure. And speaking of a change of structure, we're now on to the man who made that change of structure even possible. And that is Foden. Likewise with Shirky in the first half, we could not access him, we could not find him, and there was nothing going on. Second half, you drop Foden deeper. Oh, look, all of a sudden City look so much better. And now we're actually able to build up more readily and progress the play also. He also scored the goal. It's a great finish as well. It is a great finish. And it was also lovely in the build-up to what could have been that Reinders effort as well. I personally felt that Foden was more important and was better than Shirky, certainly in that second half. First half, they were both much of a muchness. I'm not going to say that it was by a massive margin, but I do think that Foden should be, in my opinion, Foden should be getting a higher rating based on the fact that he is literally the reason why we were able to have so much more control in that second half. So he's definitely getting points for that. So I gave Shirky an 80, so I'm going to give Foden... What did I give Nunes? Because I felt Nunes was the man of the match. Oh, this is perfect. I gave Nunes an 83, and I felt Nunes was the man of the match, so I'm going to give Foden an 82. No, 81. I changed my mind. 81. I think that's fine, because I felt Nunes was the best player. So that works out with my numbers. Because even though the second half was very lovely, I've got to hold the first half against him, even though I'll repeat, I don't know if there was how much of it was his fault. But hey, it's happened, it's happened. Exactly. And here's the thing as well, and I forgot to note this. 12, count them, 12 defensive actions by Foden today. Only Nico Gonzalez had more, our defensive midfielder. Foden, 3 tackles, which is insane, because Foden's not much of a tackler. 2 clearances, a headed clearance, 7 recoveries. Is insane. Won 7 out of 12 of his ground duels. Again, not bad for someone who's 5'7", and he won his aerial duel as well. Likewise. So that second half was this complete performance that we've come to see from him. Fantastic defensively and off ball, linking the play, being a goal threat. That's what you want. That is what you want. If I had the first half like that, then he'd be like high 8s or maybe even 9s, but I can't do that because that's not what we saw. And then finally, well, for players anyway, Big Erling scored 2 goals, converted the penalty, scored the all-important first goal. He, of course, we're going to have to say that he had a great game as well, surely. Just by virtue of the fact that he scored 2 goals and it was, again, a menace defensively with his aerials. Did his job, yeah. We created chances for him. He scored what we created for him, essentially. He tried to make himself available for that Reinders chance also. Yeah. I don't know much else there is to say about it. It wasn't a flashy performance from him, and he was isolated a lot of the time. But I'm tempted to give him like a similar performance grades to Foden or Shirky, like low 8s, I'm thinking. That's what's in my head. What are you guys saying, though? What are you guys saying? But Big Erling. Do you know Shirky has the most assists in the Premier League as number 1 for assist per minute ratio? That's so stupid, isn't it, Victor? That's how good he is. I think he is, Smiam. I think he's up there. Massively underrated by his own fan base. It's stupid. Did his job. Big Earl gets an 8. 78, scored 2 goals. I think it was poor outside of that. 82. Does he ever abandon the man bun? At some point, probably. Not a 9, but close. 80. Plain and simple 82. 80. 8. 8.1. Yeah. I'm gonna give him a little... I'm gonna give him a solid 80, you know. Because I still felt that Foden had the better game. So I wouldn't be comfortable ranking him higher. So I'm going to do that. I think that's good. And then Guardiola. I didn't like what he did in the first half. I felt he got it wrong. But he addressed it in the second half. And I thought that his substitution was great. So similar to a lot of our players. You know, good first, not sorry, not good first, good second. So I might just give him like a cheeky little 70 based on that, because, you know, you were good. I felt that you should have done better in that first half, but you addressed it. I don't have a problem with it. Have I undersold him, do you guys reckon? 7.9, 87.5. He had a chat with Oliver. He did have a chat with Glasner. He did. You're not wrong. Foden has to improve his mental side of the game. Decision-making, composure under pressure is not there yet. What are we saying for Guardiola? Any other takers for Pep? Any other takers for Pep? I'm going to... instinctively, I feel like I'm going to go 70. I feel like that's good. I'm not going to rate the subs. Savio did well when he came on, though. It's a big up. There we go. Submitted. I'm happy with that. I think that's good. Happy with my ratings. Submit. The Finalysis. There we go. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. 100. Sensational. Sensational behaviour. Can I do a dance? Not for free. To be honest, matey. Lovely. Lovely. We've got 10 minutes left. What else would we like to talk about in these 10 minutes? Any other questions? Any other final thoughts? I mean, I can physically dance, but I'm not very good at dancing. Savio deserves a massive mention, definitely. Really, really happy with him. Two great cameos back-to-back. Just sit in silence, okay. Yeah, 2 great cameos back-to-back. Really nice. And that's good, yeah. There's lots to be positive about today. There is lots to be positive about today. It's a clean sheet. It's again, we've scored a load of goals. But we do know... I'm not even wearing socks right now, Nintendo. It's crazy. But even though we did get a clean sheet today, and that was nice, we do know that if we don't win the league this season, it's not going to be a fault of the attack. It's not going to be a fault of the attack, because we've scored a lot of goals. We've scored 38 goals, in fact. That's a lot of goals. That's a lot of damage. Interestingly, I don't know if anyone is interested in that, but it's not even like a case of City just bashing teams at the Etihad. We've scored the most goals at home, and we've scored the most goals away from home, which I think is big. I think that is big. What's the defensive record like? At home, we've conceded 6. And away, we've conceded 10. Okay, so that is... And that makes sense because other teams are going to be better. So that is the key, really. That is the key. Conceding too many goals away from home. But good one today. Good one today. So, there we go. So what does that tell us? Just keep the attacking structure the same, for the most part. It did, True Citizen, you're not wrong. Keep the attack the same, and if you can do that whilst solidifying the defence, of course, that's easier said than done, but if you can do that, you're going to have a good time, and we've got a great chance of actually winning the title if we can do that. But that's a big if. That is a big if. So yeah, big up to our attack for doing that. And of course, big up to our defenders, but we can get better as for structure, I believe. It was a contender. I don't think it was quite enough to get there. But it must have been bait, surely. That's why I just did a waffle thing, because I was like, I can't even be bothered entertaining that. I don't know how you look at this game, or indeed any of his games, and reach that conclusion. That's very interesting. I didn't watch it. I wasn't able to watch it, no, because we had people around last night, but it seemed like they couldn't break them down, perhaps. I'll try to have a look at it at some point. Can we talk about the fact that... Who is this? Oh, it's a game. Never heard of it, Spartacus, I'll be honest. False 9 in the Carabao game. Perhaps that would be the best play. It depends what we want to do. Like, can't give Haaland that many rests. If you are going to do it, is this one of those moments? Perhaps it is. I'm just watching the 87th minute now, and it's Savio charging forward. So I think it's Gahey who slips. Oh, Savio, so clever there. Such good decision making. Rating you an 8.5 out of 10. Mars Bar Screen would have gotten me to 9.5. Maybe I'll have one later, matey. No idea, baby owl. Shut up, true citizen. Chill, 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 boys. Chill, chill, chill. Yeah, he may as well have said that, in all honesty. Like, that would have been as valuable of a sentence. Do I believe in Arsenal bottling? I don't know. I feel like I sort of needed that Wolves game to be a draw for me to properly believe that. It's tricky. Bobby false 9. I would like that. I would probably like false 9 Bob. Savio right wing. Then you got to play like Foden, haven't you? Or can you just play Bob left wing and Mukasa false 9? That's not going to happen, is it? I've got a bad feeling that Savio's going to play left wing against Brentford, and then he might not play well, and then everyone's going to be like, "You see, we can never start him." I don't think Doku's going to be fit, is he? If Doku's available, then maybe, but I don't know how long Doku's out for. He was injured today, wasn't he? I'd like to play false 9 Bob, though. That would be cute. That'd be really nice if we could do that. Foden or Shirky will start. When is this Phil lad? When is this Phil lad getting a rest? When is my Phil getting a rest? He so clearly needs to be given one, but you might be right. He might not be able to be afforded one. Oh, yeah. By the way, yeah, another tricky game. Another successful victory for the banana. We've got its juice back. We've got its juice back. Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll be back. Two things. First, can Nunes be the long-term right back? I don't think so. I like him, but I like him as an option there, but he's still liable to do silly errors. There's still definitely an area we can improve upon. Bob's a special talent. How can we get him in the squad? Is alone the move for him. If we sign a winger, then I think you can say bye-bye. If we sign a winger in the Jan window, I think you can probably say bye-bye to Bob. Certainly for, like, whether it's like this season or next. I don't know how that would work. TBH. I don't, because Savio seems to be above Bob in the pecking order. So I think if you did sign, let's say you signed Semenyo, you'd have to probably say, you definitely have to say goodbye to at least one of them. And I would suggest the more likely option is Bob. Rest him in the summer, yeah, class. Look, if Foden's like, look, I don't need a rest, chief, I'm chilling, I'd say liar. Because look at your Real Madrid performance after like 30 minutes. You're insane. It was insane how tired you clearly were. But there we go. It was special, wasn't it? Memories. Like the ones I used to know. Oh dear. This game, not actually that tight, to be honest with you. Not that tight. I was pretty chill today. I do like Bob, but it's tricky because we've got so many good players and he wasn't really taking his chances when he was given them. Savio has taken his chance off the bench the past couple of games. What about Ainora's future? O'Reilly's locked the position. Well, Ainora's going to go to AFCON now, as is Marmouche. They're both going to start every single game for their country. They're going to get up a run of form, and then we'll see where we are at when they return in January, whenever that is. I don't know what I want them to do there. I don't know if I want them to do well at AFCON and play lots of games. Therefore, they spend more time away from City, but they're starting a lot? Or do you want them to get knocked out relatively early on? They still have like 3 or 4 starts, and then they're back at City quicker. I don't really know what I want. I feel like I should be backing them to do well, rather than being selfish. So, I guess I'll big them up to do well. Do I see Marmoush staying at City beyond 2027? Depends. If we don't sign anyone, then yes. If we do, maybe not. I'm still not sold on this idea that we absolutely have to sign a winger in Jan. I still don't really agree. I'm not saying that we absolutely shouldn't, and if there's like an upgrade that's available, then go for it. But I think there's this idea that it's a must sign. But I feel like I say this every single week. We scored the most goals. And the argument's going to be, right, but that's the first teamers, not the subs, and perhaps that is the argument, and I get that. But I just fundamentally don't think that it's we have to do this, or the title will slip away from us. I don't think that is the difference between winning a title and not winning a title. I'm just having a look at Foden's hair. This glow up on the hair is absolutely obscene from Foden, by the way. The haircut beforehand, absolutely horrendous. Horrendous. You guys know I love Foden, of course, but I was the first to say that his haircut was clapped. It's now pretty beautiful. And it's just, it has emphasised his glorious features. Maybe we should go on a date, me and Foden. Foden and I. Maybe we should go on a little date. Yeah. Now, this isn't going to happen in January, but if you said, is signing Elliot Anderson in January the difference between City winning the title and not? I would probably say yes. I would probably say yes. I do think that signing matters a hell of a lot more than a wide player. If you said City aren't going to sign a winger in Jan or the summer and we're going to stick with what we've got right now, I'd be like, okay. I seriously don't consider it a problem. Whereas the midfield, we know Bernardo's going, Kova's gone / not here, whatever. That player does need to come in. I do think that is the difference maker. And that is a player that you do spend a lot of money on for that reason. For that reason. We missed out on Bellingham. We missed out on Rice. And we missed out on, I feel like, loads of other players. That's the one. That surely got to be the one now, right? Makes too much sense, right? I think it's better off the left, personally. But yeah, he does seem like a summer signing. There is no world, because let's be realistic, Nottingham Forest are not, who are in a relegation battle this season, potentially. They are not selling their best player this season in Jan for anything less than 100 million. And I like Anderson, but he's not worth that much. So that is a summer move, definitely. And not before me, yeah, fair's eye. I do think Paquetá, yeah, there's no doubt that Paquetá would have been a really nice signing for us because he would have provided a lot of duel winning and second ball winning and also a nice creative range. But then we wouldn't have signed, Reinders, so, game is not my money, yeah, fairs. I will be uploading the analysis video tomorrow, yes. I'm currently recording the game. We're in the 95th minutes now, so I'm going to stop my recording. So I now have the game on my PC, so now I can take screenshots from it, and I can speed up the game through the necessary parts and whatnot. So I will be doing that. The Nunes one was a panic. The term panic buy gets thrown around a lot. It gets applied to Marmoush, don't know why. It gets applied to Nico G, don't know why. But there is no doubt that Nunes was a panic buy. Like, that was, oh my god, we didn't get Bellingham, we didn't get Rice, we didn't get Paquetá. Let's get someone in. Okay, him. And even though he's playing in the first team right now, he's not playing in the position we signed him to be in. So that is the definition of a panic buy, absolutely. That is definitely a thing. And hey, we missed out on those players, but if we sign Anderson, then we'd look at it, and if he does lovely for us, we'd go, oh no, if we signed whoever, then we wouldn't have had Anderson. This is the example that I use, like, thankfully, I feel like we haven't, I mean, he has been injured, so maybe that's why it's not really been a point of contention, but, and I think I'm in the minority here, and I know this is probably an unpopular thing to say, but I'm sticking by it. I'm going to keep doubling and tripling down, and I think that Shirky's proven my point here. I don't think that the Palmer sale was inherently a mistake by City. I'm not going to go into the reasons why, because I've spoken about it at length, but here's a way to view it. If you keep Palmer, you don't get Shirky. That's a nice way to rationalise it, where I don't even have to really explain it in as much detail. Do you like Palmer? Okay, great. You want him to stay? Great. Okay, well, you can't have Shirky then. Do you love Shirky? Okay, great. So you're happy that you're content that we got rid of Palmer then? Because you can't have both. There's no way that you can have Palmer in this team along with Shirky. And if you're in love with Shirky, and I think we all are as City fans, then that's the way to rationalise it. If you don't want to think about the whole progress situation, if Palmer stays and if he does do well, you don't get Shirky. Because people, because like it's. Yeah, I don't think that Palmer Foden is the comparison to make. It's Palmer De Bruyne and it's Palmer Shirky. They're very different profiles of player. One is a far more of an outright attacking midfielder and number 10. And literally they even play in the same area of the pitch. Like, I think if Palmer were playing for us, we would be using him in the exact same way as we're using Shirky. We'd be playing him probably a right wing and then false winger into the centre. Whereas Foden is a player who you know can play deeper, more so as a number 8. I don't want Shirky as an 8, and Palmer isn't an 8 either, so I'm not even really comparing the two. So that's how that's a nice, easy way to frame it. So if Palmer does do well this season, scores lots of goals, okay, great, but we have Shirky. And it's hard to predict ceiling. I personally believe that Shirky has a higher ceiling than Palmer. I think Shirky's got a higher ceiling than everyone in our squad outside of Haaland. That's how highly I rate that guy. I don't think you can say it's a mistake to sign Shirky. So, there we go. That was just like a little brief thing. I don't think I've ever aired that view before. But just a nice way to hopefully rationalise it. I think so, Simian. I think so. It's hard to have a high ceiling than Haaland, who's the best number 9 in the world. But yeah, this Shirky guy is unbelievable. I do think he's got a higher ceiling than everyone. No, yeah, same true, Citizen. Yeah, I think this idea that he was definitely that player all the time, I don't really agree with. I don't really agree with that. I think that him going to another side to be the main man massively helped him. And I wasn't going to go into like all the details to why I didn't think it was a mistake, but it's the same. It's a similar principle to Lavia, and it's a similar principle to Morgan Rogers and all these other players that City either that sell or blah 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 blah. They ain't going to develop and become that player here, rightly or wrongly. It ain't going to happen. So yeah, that's the thing. That is a thing. Haaland's already got to know he is. He's an absolute king. Who is going to be perfect Haaland replacement? Well, we were after Kane, weren't we? We were after Kane. Haaland averages more than a goal or assist a game for 400 games. Yeah, it's so stupid. I can't believe Shirky was hanging around and no other top close went for him. He's unbelievable. Yeah, I still don't really know the full ins and outs of it. I would guess that part of it is because Lyon were in financial disarray, so they had to accept a lower bid in the first instance. There are, of course, also rumours about, incorrect rumours, about negative attitude, blah, 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 so maybe that was doing something as well. I think that perhaps if other teams are looking at it, if you're a top team anyway, it is very hard to accommodate a player like Shirky, I think. And maybe that was the question mark of, well, how do we actually get the best out of him whilst also protecting him. And maybe that was why the top teams didn't want to take the risk, because they couldn't guarantee that they'd be able to do that, i.e. get the best out of him whilst also protecting him. We have a setup where we can do that. We have Bernardo, who can do that. And if we sign Anderson, then he's a player who would also be able to do that, maybe. So, I don't know, but maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. Because there's no doubt he's a gamble. There is no doubt. Soy One Sky the other day read the City fandom well. Thank you, Henry. Big up to you. That's Fairs Jack, yeah. How does City manage to sign special players for cheap prices? Must be all those bribes that we do, you know, underneath the table. Right, I'm going to shoot off because I've been live longer than I thought, and I'm so hungry. Thank you so much for watching. Massive win today. Big up. The post-match analysis video will be out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. I'll rewatch it. I'll see if I missed anything, but a lot of it will echo what we have discussed today. And I'll be on LB's channel at 11 for LBins as usual, so join me for that. And anything else that's going on? Oh, there's a KFC advert going on right now. I want some mini fillets. and there'll be a touchline talk on Tuesday, and then we play immediately on Wednesday again, don't we? So many things happening on the channel. Make sure your notification bell is turned on. Make sure that if you are able to, and if you would like to support the channel, whilst also getting lovely exclusive benefits, click the link that the Nobbot has just provided to you. Become an ultra. Become a channel ultra. I am on a diet and I do have to focus, but the good thing about KFC is that it's so easy to write down in MyFitnessPal. I can have KFC pretty guilt-free because it's high in protein, and if you just have the mini fillets, which is what I do, it's really easy to write down. So that's a thing. That is a thing. Hopefully the members are going to come up on the stream briefly. Yeah, lots of protein. Big up to the protein. Shout out to all of my glorious supporters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know how many we have overall. Let's just count the Patreon people there, because we have around 70 on the YouTube. We've got around 80 paid support. That's not including Twitch, actually. We probably have around 90 paid supporters of the channel, which is absolutely insane. Thank you so much. It's incredibly humbling. I feel like I always say this, but it is. I'm being very sincere. Thank you to everyone who, first of all, everyone who just watches and who just likes the video generally. But if you are able to go the extra mile, thank you to everyone for your beautiful super chats, for joining the Patreon, for buying merchandise, for becoming a member of the channel. It genuinely means the world, and it's, as I say, it's very humbling to know that we've got nearly 100 paid members, which is absolutely obscene. And let's keep going from strength to strength this season. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you all next week. Have a good evening, gentlemen and ladies, of course.